All right, everyone, I'm very excited to introduce a new author to you. His name is David Ward Sr., and his book is entitled The Faces of Safety. But I'm going to let him do most of the talking. He is the expert in this field. So, Dave, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who are you, and why did you write this book?
Well, my name is David Ward, Senior. I am 6 years United States Air Force, security police officer. Then I spent 23 years with the Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons, as a national safety examiner. I then was hired by OSHA as a federal investigator for the Whistleblower Act. I then retired, and then I turned around and started my own safety consulting business. Uh, Safety by Design Consulting Services. I had a daughter go on to college and I wanted to make sure that she was taken care of. So I joined Century Insurance as a senior safety consultant. And that is really how it all began.
All right, so you are definitely an expert, it sounds like. You have some authority in the field for sure.
Yes, yes, it's 40 years experience in safety. Enjoyed every minute of it. Been through a variety of facilities, a variety of factories, from healthcare to food service to textile to Humvee repairs to government agencies. So yes.
Amazing. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the book? What prompted you to write it?
Well, after being involved in safety and as far as OSHA goes as a federal investigator, and then having my own business, the reason why I started my own business was because I felt like the Hispanic population wasn't actually being taken care of. They were being injured and hurt, and it seemed like that was the norm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make, yeah, and I wanted to make a difference. So I think that was the first part of the fact of just going out and doing something. Had a Hispanic community coordinator, Eve Gomez, and we went out and we just kind of looked for companies that were in need. And we try to make safety affordable for everybody.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Especially, I think a lot of the problem maybe with the Hispanic population maybe might have been a language barrier and making sure that people understood the safety rules. Is that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. We turn around and we hire people that, you know, again, we say, can you speak English? Yes, they nod their head and we really don't know. We really don't take the time to ensure that they fully understand because the Hispanic population was the majority of the people are put in situations that most of us wouldn't want to work in, from
Exactly.
confined space to trenching to landscaping, even in the food service industry.
Right, right. Oh, that's great. That's amazing. And especially that you're able to point out the different safety hazards in each one of those different locations. So let's get a little bit in, let's go ahead and dive into the book itself. So you have a plethora of different experiences and examples that you use in the book, both positive and outlines the ways people can improve. If you were to pick out a story or two to really highlight the meaning of your book and examples that where things really could have gone wrong, can you give me an example of that maybe is one of your favorites from the book?
Well, I think the one where I was involved in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and
Mhm.
when actually we were doing a trenching, and I talk about this story quite a bit because I think it's really relevant to today when you see all these people out in trenches
Mhm.
and there's no shoring and things of that nature, no coffin boxes, and you just wonder what are people thinking, right?
Right.
So anyway, we were doing a sewer project, and they had an earth mover over this trench. And when they had a guy 20 feet in this hole, it was no ladder, dropping rock in to put over the sewer pipe,
So they're
and you
dropping
turn
rock in while he's in the hole.
while he's in the hole. And the earth mover you can see was sitting on this dirt, and the sides were beginning to give a little way. And I'm like, wait a minute, we have to stop this process. So, we did that. But then on the other hand, there was so much to it. The warden at the facility said, hey, listen, if you want to work in a safe environment, maybe you're in the wrong job.
Oh
And
my,
I'm like, listen, just because these people are contractors and they come on our site, they're still our responsibility,
right.
right? So if they're our responsibility, then why would we condone the actions that we were condoning? I understand that time is money, but you
Mhm.
can't put a price tag on a life. If that individual, if that collapsed, we would have lost that guy.
Right, right. You're saying there's dirt, there's rock, and you have heavy machinery that's starting to fall, like visibly fall in.
Well, the heavy machinery was sitting on the trench,
Uh-huh.
straddling the trench. It's the
Wow.
trench that's coming and breaking down on the inside. And you can
Wow.
actually see that. And it was like, wait a minute, we have to stop this project.
Yeah. So part of what you do is, it sounds like you get some backlash sometimes, but I mean, it's up to you and the employees and everyone else to realize that, well, yeah, time is money, like you said, but what are you going to say after somebody gets injured?
Absolutely. And then on the other hand, you're right. Most safety people, you have to stick up for your principles, right? Safety is not a field where everybody's going to be liked. You have to point out the things that are dangerous and hazardous. And again, it deals with money. It's just like being in a manufacturing company and there's production.
Exactly.
Safety sometimes interferes with production.
Right.
Well, so what are you going to do then? Are you going to forego safety for production? Would you
Right.
forego safety for quality?
No,
I
no,
don't think
I
so.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't, but it seems like a lot of the stories you mentioned, people are willing to take that risk, unfortunately.
Well, the reason most companies are willing to take the risk because they're not the ones that are doing the job.
Mm, that
It's
makes,
the employees that they send out who do the job.
yeah,
They're the ones that are pressured to do work in a short period of time. They're the ones that are pressured to do jobs without the appropriate equipment or without the appropriate staffing around them.
right,
And then on the other hand, how many times are there supervisors in that area that aren't paying attention,
right, right. So
that
many
don't know the hazard? Yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
many factors that go into it. So one of the stories that really stood out to me was about your friend Lee Shelby, your coworker that you mentioned. And I just wanted to quick read an excerpt so people can get an idea of the type of material in your book. So Lee Shelby suffered a work-related accident, a tremendous story that stuck with me long after I read it. But in the book you write, Lee was an electrical lineman and had been doing his work for some 12 years or more. One day, Lee was on the job disconnecting wires from a resident. He clipped the first two wires and repositioned his hand to clip the third. When he did, 13,200 volts of electricity ran through his body. He fell inside the bucket. Coworkers took his glove off and found that his skin was completely fried and immediately rushed him to the hospital. Dave, can you give us an idea of just how much 13,000 volts of electricity is?
Well, it's a tremendous amount. I'll tell you that. And what it could do to a human body is incredible, right?
Right, right.
It would have been better if they would have left his gloves on, at that point. But,
Mhm.
everybody's there to try to help. And most of us aren't trained in first aid, CPR. So what do? We do what we think is right.
Right, the sort of reactionary thing, and that's another point you bring up in your book is that it's important to be prepared so that you can respond appropriately rather than react in a panic, right?
Absolutely. It's better to be proactive than reactive. However, if you look throughout the book, there's a lot of things that companies are doing that are reactive instead of being proactive. It's kind of like emergency action plans when
Right.
we talk about emergencies. You know, we don't have the time to train for emergencies. Well, when that emergency comes, what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly. A lot of panic. A lot of panic.
tremendous chaos, and
Yeah,
nobody's going to know what to do, and we're going to lose lives that we didn't have to lose.
right. Yeah, did you want to mention anything more about Lee, his recovery process, or how
Well,
he's doing now?
yeah, I mean, Lee's a tremendous individual. He's still out there speaking, but it's kind of like we have discussions, and it's the same thing. You know, no matter how many activities he goes to, how many people that he speaks to,
Hmm.
right? No
Right,
matter how much money that he'll make doing these presentations,
right.
it's never going to be enough because he can't touch his wife's hand. He can't throw the baseball with his grandson, who is a prolific athlete in baseball. So his injuries are far reaching. His injuries are continuous, and he has to live with that pain
Hmm.
every day. Look at, you asked me what the process was like. It's a
Hmm.
long process. I enjoyed writing. The book was easy to write because of my background and my experiences. It was a new experience for me because I've never written a book.
Hmm.
So this was the first one, and I wanted to be thought provoking. I want it to be where somebody could take this book and read it and say, wow, can't believe that's actually going on. I can't believe companies aren't investing in their employees. I can't believe employees are taking these chances
Yeah.
and risking their own lives for $1.
Let's turn our attention a little bit. So you went through the bestseller package and you are now officially a best-selling author, number one in several categories. Can you say a little bit about how it feels to have written such an important book and now to have it reach the top of the categories list?
It's an amazing story, right? In itself. I mean, it's an amazing story that you've reached that pinnacle of the bestseller
Yeah.
in one category, let alone two or three different categories.
Yeah.
Again, the book for me is a message, and as long as that message gets out, to me, that's what's important. If it's one book and somebody got something out of it, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's a bestseller hopefully motivates other people to say, hey, listen, there must be something in this book that I need to read. And I think if you read the book, once you read it, my goodness, you could take this information if you're a company owner and use it as a training facility, as a facilitating your training. You can turn around and use it to help your leadership, your supervisors, and your employees understand. Maybe you're not utilizing safety as a core value in your company, but maybe after reading this book, will change your mind.
Excellent. Excellent. I love to hear it. And I just pulled you up here. So you hit number one in safety and health engineering, number one in safety and health and technology, and then number three in risk management. So again, congratulations to you.
Well, we're not done yet, right?
Oh,
You know,
absolutely not.
hopefully this will continue on because, like I said, this book has a tremendous message in it. It could save lives, it could save companies from financial ruin just by following some simple rules, just by understanding that safety should be a core value of every company.
Mhm.
And when you look at it, if you're trying to sell safety, you got to give safety 100%. You give quality 100%, and you give production 100%.
Right,
One
right.
without the other has no value. It's almost like creating a fire. You need heat, fuel, and oxygen. You need the same thing. You need safety, production, and quality. And if you have those three and you give them 100% at the same time, you will have higher morale, you will have a better product, and you'll have a better bottom line. But most of all, you'll have safer employees, reduced injuries, reduced fatalities, and reduced heartache that families have to suffer.
Mhm. Excellent. Well, you know what, Dave? This has been an amazing conversation, and I'm sure that our listeners can certainly get a lot out of it. Thank you again for writing this book, and it's been such a pleasure to work on it with you. And can you tell the readers where they can find you, a little bit about your website and your company, perhaps?
Yes, you can find me on davidawardsenior.com. There's a lot of information on the website for people to look at. And then on the other hand, I do want to thank you personally for all your kindness, your insight, your help. This book couldn't have done what it's done without you. And also, Lisa Hartwell, another individual, Lee Shelby, through all the times we talked, tremendous people. And I can't say enough, but I really, really, really can't say enough about you. Uh, when you took the book and you read it, and then you gave me the suggestions that you did to enhance it, it was incredible. And people are talking about the things that you asked me to do. And as a person that's never written a book, the insight that you gave me, the courage that you gave me to
Mhm. Excellent.
to keep going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dave. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to put your contact information and a link to the book in the description box so everyone knows where they can reach you and where they can get a copy of the book. Is there any final words you have to say? And if not, I think that we can sort of wrap things up.
No, the only thing that I would say is, again, please don't put yourself in a situation to where you're exposing yourself
Mhm.
to potential life-threatening injuries or even a fatality. There's not enough money in the world. No company is paying you enough money for you to get injured or for you to get killed.
Exactly.
And your family needs you. So
Exactly.
before you take a shortcut, think about what your family needs. Think about what your family would do if you weren't there.
Yeah, very good words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Dave, and we'll be looking forward to the next book, perhaps.
Absolutely. There's a coloring book coming out for kids.
Oh, yes, most certainly. Be on the lookout for that as well.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.